Are we contesting the outcome of any? Has anyone made a motion to abolish whatever electoral college won you this award?
No contest here. I understand there was just one vote, so that
That wasn't easy.
It was tough. Convince the one person.
Well, you ain't kidding, man. Listen, I appreciate you taking a minute out from picking up your laptop at the repair shop to join us today.
I was never charged or convicted, Jimmy. That's all I'll say.
Well, you have a lot to say because you've been tweeting up a storm lately, and I got to ask you this: are you just trying to get your shots in before Twitter bans all the conservatives?
You know what? Twitter is. We got to get them in. We've got to rein them in. This is outrageous. We've protected them. Yeah, we got to go after them and allow every American to actually exercise their free speech. And I used to be very market driven. Just say, the market will correct it. Market can't correct it because of their antitrust behavior. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and I think that's the issue a lot of people have here is, you're talking about a thumb on the scale. I mean, we're within weeks of an election, and we're even getting, other publicly funded entities like NPR flat out saying, yeah, we're not covering the Hunter Biden thing. We didn't think it, we think it's a garbage story. Like, who are they to tell us, Congressman? I didn't like that one.
Yeah, especially since they're funded in part by the federal government taxpayers. But I mean, when you look at that, I want you to just imagine if the shoe was on their other foot, if somehow there was a Trump kid who had left their laptop somewhere that was full of incriminating evidence, and their former business partner like Tony Bobulinski, who is Hunter Biden's former business partner, is standing out there saying, oh, yeah, we were making money hand over fist. This was designed to get into the Biden family. The big guy that's supposed to get $10 million that's the big guy. That is Joe Biden. I mean, when you have all this kind of evidence, they went through an impeachment hearing when they couldn't even decide if there was a crime, high crime or misdemeanor, and just created this discord in this country. And they won't even cover this story.
No, it's crazy, and I think everybody sees the double standard. I mean, you were out there leading the charge for a special counsel into the findings on this laptop. Do you think there'll be any type of authentication one way or the other between now and Election Day beyond what his business partner has told us?
I am so, I have to tell you, I'm so cynical on that stuff right now. I led a letter to Christopher Wray. We'll never hear back from Christopher Wray. Led a letter to Bill Barr. Nothing will happen before the election with Bill Barr. They've already basically said that. The best thing we have is John Ratcliffe coming out and saying there's no Russian disinformation, basically indicating that what they have is the real deal. So, no, I just don't see it happening. And the thing is, I think there'll be things that come out every day or two which amplify the story, but half the country won't even ever hear about it.
Yeah, that's what's crazy. It feels to me like we're in almost like, I've been calling it like a cyber civil war, where we're watching dueling media entities, fight for control, or at least the direction the country goes in. And unfortunately, a lot of the weapons are on the other side with the big tech oligarchs in Silicon Valley. So when you're done winning awards, I do think you need to hold these people accountable.
Hey, it's an award a day for Biggs. No, we will. We definitely have to hold accountable, Jimmy. And doesn't that kind of remind you of, just think of the Revolutionary War. Before we ever declared independence, we've been in a shooting war for a year and a half.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what I feel like. I feel like the other side is engaged in kind of now mixing metaphors back to the Bolshevik Revolution. You got one side that's really trying to engage in a Bolshevik revolution with a small group of people. And there's so many people in America that are just not cognizant fully, I don't think, of the jeopardy that we're in.
Well, yeah, that's the good point you really make there. And like I tell people all the time, if they listen to this show long enough, Andy Biggs will make a good point from time to time. And you just, be patient.
Hey,
no, I kid. Go ahead.
You ring the bell. We call that, in my office, we call that the BS bell. You just ring the BS bell. You made a good point.
But no, what I was going to say to build on this is that a lot of people are fine with what Twitter has done because they think it's helping their candidate. But what they don't understand is that if this becomes the standard operation procedure in this country, there's going to come a time where it's not helping your candidate, and it's not helping you to have these people be the arbiters of what information we get to share. And I think that's where everybody's being short-sighted, is that social media has made us very much a prisoner of the moment, and no one's thinking beyond the individual news cycle or the short-term goal they have. So somehow we got to back off that.
Hey, Jimmy, right back at you. That is a great point. It's a salient point. Because in reality, I think we as Americans, we've always been accused by people around the world as being short-sighted. Mm-hmm. But we are now so myopic, it's unbelievable. We don't play the long game. Nobody plays the long game. If anybody were to play the long game, they could win this sport. But right now, there's no news cycle. But I mean, I should say there's no news cycle. It's always a news cycle. Everything is up to the minute. There's never a delay, and I think that really hurts the Americans' ability to kind of focus on the bigger picture, who we are, where we want to be. Instead, we're this, very short-sighted people, and that's why you get the indoctrinated people that just move. They just move quickly. And they're indoctrinated, so they'll activate.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy, but we prioritize new over substantive. So a lot of stories, right, don't age. They have no shelf life. It really is like the news has become a carnival goldfish. Like it's dead within a few hours of taking it home. It's just like,
I had one that lived for 8 years, but I think somebody must have been changing the fish every few days.
They're like, Andy won't know. Don't worry about it.
I couldn't understand how that one had a white stripe down the back of it. But anyway,
something in the water today. I don't know what's going on.
Exactly.
If you're just joining us, Congressman Andy Biggs is on the line. He, of course, the inspiration for Finding Nemo. Little things we find out. Little things we find out every time you come on the show, man. Let me ask you this one. We do have a debate tonight, knowing what we know about the Biden corruption, and it seems like there's very much a there. But do you think if you were coaching the president, you'd focus on Biden, or should he just sell his own achievements? Because he has them, and they don't really get talked about much.
Right. I think this is a forum where he should, just let Joe Biden talk. Joe Biden will get himself in trouble, and especially as the longer it goes. I think he should be pivoting to the things he wants to talk about. He wants to talk about foreign policy. He should say, thanks, we already discussed that. Here, we'll discuss this now, foreign policy. And just bring up everything he's done. There is so much for him to talk about that people just don't even realize. They don't even know because they're not getting their news from Twitter or YouTube or Facebook or anything because they're suppressing him, and then the left-wing media is suppressing him. So when you go into the airport, one time you see CNN, you're not seeing Donald Trump in the airport. So I think he should just do his own deal, not worry about the questions, not worry about Joe Biden.
Just get out there and throw the fastball, if you will. And try
high heat.
Throw the high heat. Try to throw it with more accuracy than your pal Dr. Fauci.
Well, he was concerned because he knew that he'd be sitting in that stand without wearing a mask. He knew a picture would be taken, and somebody like you or me would say, hey, how come he doesn't have to wear a mask, but they want us to wear a mask?
Hey, say what you want about Fauci's pitching, but he made sure nobody caught anything. So there's that. There you go. Talk to me about this, because this is a story that I know, you're pretty vocal about. The hospitalization deaths from COVID-19 have gone way down, but they don't seem to be having that discussion anywhere in the public arena. And I think it's a discussion of note because ultimately, I think it's kind of proof that we could go after that ultimate form of stimulus, which is to open things back up. Do you think the election will be the end of kind of lockdown life, and it'll be, an opportunity for us to move forward, even in some of the blue states that have been shut down?
I'd like to say yes, it should, but I think a tyrant's a tyrant. And so in Michigan, Whitmer, I just can't imagine her loosening things up no matter what. And it's hard to imagine that a tyrant who loves power and has engaged this and used this to irrigate power to themselves is going to allow it to go away. I don't think it'll happen. And they're focusing, the same thing they've always focused on is the number of people who get the COVID or test positive. Not even the number of people who don't have signs or symptoms like that, just the number of people who test positive. Instead of the much more critical pieces of information, which are hospitalizations, length of time in the hospital, mortality rates, the demographic of who is getting these, who's going to the hospital, and who's passing away because of this. They've ignored all of that, generally speaking. That's not what you hear about. You just hear big numbers. And then the other thing that I think, Jimmy, when this is all said and done, when we start looking back how they were putting together their data and their statistics, you're going to find that that the data accumulation process was horribly flawed, maybe even totally fatally flawed. So I think there's so much to be considered there. But yeah. No, it's we're in for some tyranny in the long term.
Nobody knows better than us here in New York, where I think I've had this conversation with you. They've opened things up at like 25% capacity, but at our restaurants, they put the tables in the road. And I don't know if you've ever seen New York drivers, but
I have.
Everybody's talking to me about the calories in the meal. I'm like, I'm more concerned about the nutritional information on this bumper coming at me at 65 miles an hour.
Well, see, the good news is you can eat darn near anything. You can, carb overload and everything because you're going to need it to try to outrun the cars. That's beautiful.
Andy Biggs, goldfish enthusiast, nutritionist, a jacket. It's no wonder you're racking up so many awards this year, man. Very impressed. We better talk before the election because I'm counting on you to win Arizona. You got to hold this together, okay, man?
Hey, I think we will. I think we're going to. I think Arizona's going to stay together.
No, I got high hopes. Someone said to me the other day, one of my listeners goes, no, don't worry, Biggs will get it done. And that was the first time I got scared. I was confident. He goes, don't worry, Biggs has got this. And oh, man, I'm like, we're going to take a break. Listen, I do. I love talking to you, man. Let's get together soon, okay?
You bet.
Be well.
Jimmy. Thanks, man.
There he goes. The legend, Congressman Andy Biggs.